Hello, everyone. Welcome to Shedding Mysticism, where we talk about myths in our society that are maybe harmful and how we debunk them and get that mysticism basically out of your noggin. Sorry about that. And back into reality and having critical thinking because woo shouldn't be in our vocabulary. Neither should snake oil sales or cons or anything like that, too. So, we humans, first of all, have to get some good earbuds, but make sure that we're going down the right path in order to have a tangible development of our minds and therefore control the environment around us that we have created. Obviously, we've left nature. So we want to get rid of this thing called a bicameral mind. Julian, Jaynes, Princeton, look them up. And we want to be able to have integrated thinking based on the facts and then move forward in life and in society and go to the next evolutionary leap with our mindset, not going backwards to the Stone Age or Iron Age or Bronze Age and continually believing, wives' tales, myths, old religions, whatever. Okay, now that the introductory is out of the way, I have a topic tonight that every worker in the United States and probably in many other places of the world should be pissed off about. This is, let's see, the topic is poor people are lazy. And that comes from rich people. People who get everything given to them. They inherit their wealth. They sign documents. They make backdoor deals. They just, they get everything. Sure, they might work. They might have to take care of their office stuff or whatever, but they're not out there doing physical labor, and they're not out there getting their hands actually dirty like everybody else is. And, they got the money to where somebody else can do their laundry for them, and take care of their house and everything. All they got to do is work and take care of that business. And somebody else will take care of everything else, even delivering them lunch while they are at work. And this is the life of rich CEOs. Looks like I got a little bit of a lag here on StreamYard again. Sorry about that, folks. But let's start from when the United States changed. Now, it started to change in the 50s, but, and everybody had, just one income. Basically, that's all you needed to come in to the household and raise a family and all that. Everybody worked hard, sure. But, the economy was much better. Healthcare wasn't too much, though. It had its pros and cons because, let's face it, it was half a century ago or more that the United States had these changes. But about 50 years ago, we had Ronald Reagan, who was responsible for a lot of BS. Everybody considers him the greatest president ever, in this lifetime. But no, he had CEOs telling him what to do and wrap up his speeches so they can go sign backdoor deals and things like that. And this was, so Reagan was bought and paid for by industrialists, some of the richest people on the planet. And I don't know if all or not, but a lot of, oh, hey, Gray Man, a lot of people in politics, they are in it for the money. And it's obvious, especially today after Trump. It's just about the money, and there's so much corruption that it's just, all of them, every last one of them, need to be lined up and put in front of a firing squad as far as I'm concerned. Okay, that was in the trickle-down economics. It changed, and everybody's shaking their head. Nope, that ain't going to work, because rich people aren't going to let that wealth trickle down. And they haven't. They've kept it all for themselves. Unregulated. Taxes lowered than everybody else's. It's the poor people who are actually paying for everything. And the rich, the ruling elite, is making the rules to enslave you so you can work for them, so you can pay taxes and it can all go to them. And, they got like 6 freaking multi-billion-dollar incomes coming in while you had minimum wage at best or slightly over. And your boss is going to tell you, well, I just can't afford to pay anymore, even if it's a small business. But yeah, the workers get screwed over all the damn time. So we've had 50 years of BS capitalism. And along with that story is you just need to get up and go to work harder. Okay, so people working 80, 100 hours a week doing something, out in the oil field or where the hell ever they're working, doesn't matter. Putting in tons of hours and they're still impoverished. How the hell are you going to be alive doing that? And this is now keep in mind, this is 2021. It takes 2 people working full time in order to take care of a household, and that's just with like 1 or 2 kids. And rent or mortgage or whatever's going on is through the roof. Car payments are through the roof. We don't have a good infrastructure. We're hooked on oil, we're hooked on cars, and it's just a greedy ass game keeping you in your place and keeping you poor. That's how the game is played. Keep them poor. But then tell them it's their fault they're not rich and they can't get anything because they're just lazy. They're not working hard enough. That's what it is. They just want that check and to just go home and sit and not do anything. And that's the myth that we're, debunking here today. Sorry, I don't have any research done on this. I've been quite busy. You can go see Robert Reich, his videos, and there's a lot of other research on this. I'm sure you could find on, YouTube or even the statistics bureaus and things like that, for your nation, whichever one you live in. So that was number 3. The myth of working harder and longer will bring you wealth. That is a myth because it doesn't seem because the more you work overtime, the more taxes gets taken out of it. And if you're like me and paid child support for 20 years, they just tell you, well, you're not making it out there. You're living in your vehicle and you can't afford rent or whatever. You just need to work harder. Okay, so working 3 jobs, still can't afford rent. Why? Because the more you make, oh, hey, you're making this much. Now we get to take more from you. That's how the game is played. And it comes from, and I'm not saying don't take care of your kids. I mean, this has nothing to do with that. It is irrelevant. You should take care of your kids. Okay? Here's the deal. People think that they need to have power over you so they can be parasites off of you and then tell you it's your fault the whole damn time. And that's the game that was played on me. And most workers get that too. You can even hear it in the cafes or whatever. You go in about 6 o'clock in the morning and you hear these good old boys in there drinking their coffee and say, well, what the problem is the state's giving people too damn much money. So they just don't want to work. That's what that is. Really? That's all it is? You think it's coming out of your pocket and other people don't want to work and they're just being lazy because you got a job? And how many people do you know that's crippled, disabled, or whatever that can just get right out there and go to work? And some can. And some of them, if you're in a wheelchair or whatever, you pretty much get whatever the hell you want. And you got an army of people pushing you around and backing your ass up too. You're not alone. But still, you're not going to get a real high paying job unless you got a massive education, and you're like, Dr. X from the X-Men or something like that. You're strolling around, you got this big thing going on, you're already got a bunch of money. So these, local yokels in your cafe or whatever saying, well, the whole problem is people are just, making too much money off of the state that they just don't want to work. That is also a myth. It takes a couple of years for you to qualify of being down and out and sick. And then when you finally do get whatever's coming to you, half of it goes to whatever, child support and student debt, all that stuff. And you don't have enough to buy a decent house or whatever. Once you get that income coming in, your award letter or whatever, somebody else always takes it because, well, they just got authority over you. And that's how the laws are made. And here you are, disabled. And okay, so that's not always the case. There are some able-bodied people that are trying to apply for disability, but I don't know if they qualify or have been qualified. I know some lazy people, but poor people, let's get back to just that. Now, in America, and I'm sure a lot of other countries, we have what's called the working poor. And it doesn't matter, like I said, even if you got two incomes coming in the house, they better be damn good incomes. You can't just go get a factory job or whatever and two people pay for, a house payment and raise kids. That's just, you're going to be poor. You're going to be driving an old rust bucket around and it's going to guzzle the gasoline and it's going to leave you stranded and you're going to miss work and all that other shit, and you're not going to be able to, because you got bad credit, because you're already poor. You can only get up to about 750, 800 or whatever, even if you pay all your bills, and you're only going to get so much good credit because you just simply cannot afford thousands and thousands of dollars of, getting something in order to get ahead. You just can't invest in those assets and credit cards or anything else because they incrementally charge interest and take away what little bit you do have. So, in the disabled and the retired also, get lumped in with the able-bodied. You hear all these myths. So people are just on this aid because they're lazy. That's why they're poor. And, every able-bodied person ought to be able to go out there and go to work. And even some of them are not, and there are people that are disabled and, but, and they try. I've tried. I've extended my limit of going out there working. I put myself right in the damn hospital every time. But just being lazy and it's coming right out of my pocket and all that, that's bullshit. And including, coming from businesses, people who write these how to get rich books, all that shit, they're bullshitting everyone. They don't know. The reason why they're not poor isn't because everybody else is lazy and they're not, because everybody else is working just as many hours and actually doing more physical shit than they are. The reason why they can work more hours is because they're sitting on their ass in an office someplace. Then they get up and go have a 3-drink lunch with somebody down at the country club. They got it pretty easy. Even though they're making decisions, all they're doing is delegating. That's it. And writing things down. That's about it. They do, being a CEO, they do all the meticulous little details and looking at what they do, what's going on in their company, sure. And that's why they're pointing their finger. But they might be responsible for all that stuff, but they're not out there sweeping the floor. They're not out there picking up heavy iron, getting grease all over them. Things like that. It's just not happening. But the disabled and the retired people, they're not lazy. They put their time in. Disabled people, look in the dictionary. The prefix dis means not able. So anybody watching this now or in the future, that's what it means. So it's not, but you're disabled. Oh yeah, but you better figure it out anyways. No. It takes you 2 years, at least. To even get labeled as a disabled person. It's a real thing. It's not being lazy or you're just not trying hard enough or any of that other stupid shit. Okay, the false pride of the working harder thing. That's the thing. I used to think this too, with just working harder and doing the right thing and all. I was still poor. I was still poor, and parasitical elite was still taking from me. And it didn't matter what I did. I was going to be wrong because they were doing it to me. And I'm not just trying to blame other people. It's an absolute fact. That's what happens. Um, but this false pride of sitting around pounding on the coffee table. Well, at least I get up and I go to work and do all this blah blah fucking blah. What are you trying to prove? Is it a badge of honor that life is harder for you? You got to sweat it out harder and suffer more in order to live? And you get charged with, for health care and all that stuff. Is this a badge of honor? Do you honestly think that you are morally and intellectually superior than somebody else who can't work simply because at least you get up in the morning and go to work every day? Shit, everybody does. It's not, everybody's not just lazy. That's just false sense of pride that makes you vote for the very people who's taking shit from you and making you work harder. That's the whole idea. Guess where it's getting you? Just in debt more. I'm not saying don't go to work and all that, but what I'm saying is that narrative that at least the United States has had with this capitalist, I want to say regime that's been going on with business owning everything in this country, including the country, has been going on for far too long. And that's a narrative of you just need to work harder. Where do you think that shit's coming from? I mean, they busted down unions. Your rights are going away. And then they're blaming it on somebody else who's trying to get those back. And all of a sudden they're a commie or something like that. They just want socialism. Well, dumbass. Capitalism is failing. It's not getting you anywhere ahead. The way we do it here in the United States, anyways, it's backwards. They got the trickle down from the top down, and it should start from the bottom up. And yeah, that's right, Gray Man. Another day older and deeper in debt. Oh, my soul to the company stove. Anyway, here's number 7 I got on my list. Pandemic and politics again. The incentive to work. Let's see. I can't read my own writing. I must have been pissed. Yeah, the incentive to work, except, they're saying here in the United States, we had that $3 trillion bailout. Most of it went to the richest freaking 1%. No regulation whatsoever. Just here, have a bunch of money. That's okay. In the work, and then, and this was the Republicans came in there right at the last minute. Otherwise, this wouldn't have went through and said only give people, checks, even unemployment checks for $600 because if they get any more, they will lose the incentive to work. Are you kidding me? Work is shut down anyways. You've all shut it down. We got a pandemic, and you want to keep things open because us little worker bees can just keep working and we can just go fuck off and die, of COVID or whatever. But, you're gonna cut off any reason, to want to come to work for you because you're an evil prick. The workers and this is the Republicans doing this for sure. And they got this narrative of, yeah, they're for the working class and blah, blah, blah. Actions speak louder than, there's a gnat in there. Actions speak louder than words. And every single thing so far for about the past, I don't know, at least 20 years when the Republicans decided they were just going to not work with anybody and just try to vote down everything that wasn't in their personal best interest. And it didn't matter if it was good for the people or not, they were going to vote it out just so Democrats can't win. And ever since then, your rights in the United States and other countries too have been going downhill. It's the ruling elite fleecing you, all your relatives, all your friends, everybody you know. So, and it's not because everybody's just lazy and it's getting worse and worse and people just don't want to blah, blah, blah. People do want to have success in life. They're just seeing that it's an exercise in futility. They really are. Because it doesn't matter what you do, you can't even afford to get to the place to make it happen. You can't afford, and as soon as there is big jobs opening up in certain areas, the rent and everything just skyrockets. People are living in their vans and shit on the side of the road just because, Google opened up in a shop and play. Damn gnats, boy, that's pissing me right off. Hang on, get away from me, little half of bastards. But yeah, it's just unregulated pricing that, somebody's going to get a little bit more money because there's going to be better jobs. So, well, let's make it so they can't live there anyway. Want to be a property owner. I can make shit tons of money now. It's pretty damn greedy. It really is. And now we have places all across the United States vacant because people get kicked out of them, can't afford the rent or mortgages or whatever. Everything goes to bankruptcy. And we got homeless problems. Out in LA, there's literally millions of people. And then they're still building houses for people who's not going to go there. The jobs are done. And then you got politics playing bullshit games and using, well, basically, I just don't know what the hell they're doing. They're just being greedy. They don't give a rat's ass about the citizens who actually pay them. We're just cattle to them, and that's it. Yeah, we need a basic living allowance system. That, yes, we do, and not just the price that we get paid or something, but regulations on how high the ceiling can go for debt and prices, raising up and up and up and up. That shit needs to stop. Because people they can still make a profit, but the conditions in society need to exist in order for that to happen and be peaceful, instead of just getting worse and worse and worse because of a few people want to be greedy as hell. And it's just ridiculous. It really is. Okay, and I got another one. States that opt out of benefits and lie about the laziness. You got governors in several states, I think one in Tennessee or Kentucky. So a lot of them are right to work states, which all that means is, no unions and just we can fire you whenever the hell we want, and it doesn't make a difference. We can just pull out and your life doesn't matter. It's not right to work, just like the thing I was on, freedom to work. Well, that was through a Social Security program. Like I said, the more I worked, the more they charged me. Oh, you're working now, huh? Well, part-time, and it was all I could handle, and it was killing me. But they decided to put me on something to help pay for the health care. And I wasn't making enough for the gasoline to even get there. And it's after a while, I lost the use of my legs and I was in utter pain. And I just said, hey, I can't do this anymore. I quit. And my doctors confirmed it. And they decided, apparently I'm still on the program just in case I want to go out there and work again. But they tell me my balance is at zero right now, that I don't owe anything because I'm not working. Once again, disabled. But these states, anyways, these governors are talking about not letting people have any benefits, for the COVID thing, and yet they're just messing up left and right. But they're doing that so nobody gets any money, and the money that's coming into the state are actually going right into the pockets of the politicians and the rich people. But everybody else, they're talking about, oh, people just want to sit home and be lazy. No, that's not the case. It's the opposite. People want to go back to work. People want to do better for themselves. They want to be able to pay their damn rent. It's bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Straw manning everybody deliberately so you can be greedy. And the millions and millions of people that you're using this regulations on are suffering. And yet, if you're on the right, they're worshiping you to do it somehow. And everything's a Democrat's fault. And yet they're not the ones who's doing it. They're the ones who want to get you some money and get you some help and get you back to work. But yeah, don't believe in that bullshit. Accountability, both poor and rich. Well, yeah, we need to do wise investments. Try to do a little bit better and try to get it to where we're not just on bare survival mode. And that's the thing. You can't invest in anything that digs you out of poverty. But when the rich people, they don't take accountability. They do everything they can to vote against accountability and be criminal. That's what they do. So, politicians, of course they lie. They're full of shit. And so are big corporate CEOs and shit like that. I got a link in there if anybody wants to. Okay, so the 10th thing I had on my list was, what do we do now to change it? Anybody got an opinion on what are we going to do to change it? Because I wrote a bunch of books about it already, about 10 years ago. I already know. I just, I don't know, just can't get things moving. Because we're doing the same dumb shit we've always done and listening to the same stupid people we've always listened to. It is just disgusting how we're never going to change because we don't want to learn. We're taught to fight against each other left and right as if that's the only option that anybody could ever have. It's just incredibly stupid. It really is. And then the other guy is always going to be the stupid one. Yeah, eat the rich. Yeah. They're not, the ultimate value creators everybody thought they were, because, there's no laws of protection of anybody else. They're just let run rampant. So they need to be knocked down a few pegs. They really do. And the reasons why they need to, they all have special rights of way where everybody else don't. If you're poor, you're screwed. In just about every damn way. If you're rich, you can get any damn thing you want. It doesn't matter. You can get away with murder. And they do all the damn time. You see it on the news. You see people ripping off children's cancer funds for shit's sake. And then they get pardoned. And then as soon as they come out of jail, they say, well, it's because my political party was mean to me, which is an absolute lie. No, it's because you stole from dying children, you fuck. Sick, disgusting fuck. And the courts put you in jail because you needed to. But, being a politician, being somebody who's and a rich person who's going to usurp power on others, they get bailed out every damn time from their other rich buddies who's in office. All right. I'm going to end this here pretty soon. That's about all I had to say about this topic. And if in the future, whatever, anybody wants to talk about this topic, just, go down to the comments as usual. Like, share, subscribe. And if you want to support me, that's fine too. I got all the data down there, PayPal, got a Patreon. So I'm going to be doing this for a long time, as far as I know. So just remember, take care of each other, be awesome to each other, try to have decent conversations and not arguments. Be willing to be wrong and see the error of fact that you may or may not have. And cheer up, everyone. It's the weekend. We're going to be here in a minute. So let's drop that topic off, and y'all stay well, stay safe, and be awesome.